The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Something about that line. It didn't feel like an address. It felt like a warning disguised as directions. We reached the back of the truck, and he unlatched the doors. Inside, alone, was the crate. I don't even know if crate is the right word. It was long, about 7 feet, made of wood that looked ancient, like it had been pulled from the bottom of a river, reinforced with metal bands that had rusted to black and bolted down with big industrial fasteners. Whoever put this thing together didn't just want it secure, they wanted it contained. Something about it just felt wrong. Not in a "this is illegal" kind of way. No, I'd hauled worse than stolen antiques. This was different. This felt like when you walk into a room and just know you're not alone. That prickling on the skin. That twist in your gut that says something's here. I felt that as soon as I stepped near it. And then they moved it. 3 guys came out of the shadows. Didn't say a word. Just lifted the crate, grunting under its weight, and loaded it into my trailer. They bolted it to the floor. Ratchet strapped it 6 ways from Sunday. The whole time, that pale man stood silently behind me, like he was making sure I watched. As the last man stepped back and locked the trailer, I heard it. Knock. A single sound. From inside the crate. Then 2 more. Knock. Knock. Slow. Deliberate. Like whatever was in there wanted us to know it was awake. I froze, looked at the pale man. He didn't flinch. "Don't stop," he said, voice like gravel scraping across a coffin lid. "Don't open it, and don't listen to it." "Listen to what?" I asked, my voice half a whisper. He didn't answer. He just walked away, disappeared into the fog like he was part of it. And me? I started the engine, and I drove. You ever drive through a night that feels like it was pulled out of the wrong time? Like you're not just moving through the world, but being moved, dragged along by something you can't see. That's how it felt as I pulled away from that warehouse. The fog didn't lift, it just followed me. The truck was heavy, both in weight and in presence. The crate, it felt heavier as the miles dragged on. But it wasn't the load that had me on edge. No, it was the fact that I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't driving alone. It wasn't the road. Sure, there was that weird sense of isolation. Centralia's a ghost town, and the roads felt even more deserted than usual. But I'd driven through plenty of dead places before. What got under my skin was the sound. The quiet hum of the engine, the slap of the wipers on the windshield, and underneath all that, knock. It was faint at first, like the scratch of a finger on wood. 3 slow, deliberate taps, almost like it was testing me. I glanced at the rear view, half expecting to see someone sitting in the back of the truck. But there was nothing, just the empty road and the miles stretching out like a black abyss. Knock, knock, knock. This time it wasn't as faint. The sound came clearer and closer. Tap, tap, tap. 3 knocks, then a pause. A long, stretching silence that felt like someone was holding their breath, waiting for me to do something. And then, louder, almost insistent, knock, knock, knock. I let go of the wheel for a second, rubbed my eyes, trying to shake it off. I turned up the radio. Static. I twisted the dial to another station. More static. The music cut out. I was down to nothing but that horrible, hollow sound. Another knock. I don't know why, but I pulled over. I had to. It felt like the truck was pulling me off the road, like it was trying to drag me into whatever was in that crate. I killed the engine, the silence swallowing the last of the engine's hum. For a moment, I just sat there, staring out through the windshield. There wasn't another car on the road. No lights in the distance, just me, and this strange, creeping sensation that I wasn't really alone. I grabbed the flashlight from the glove compartment and opened the door. The cold air hit me like a slap to the face. I walked to the back of the truck. every step echoing in the silence. My boots crunched on the gravel, but it sounded distant, faint. The trailer doors loomed in front of me. The lock stared back at me, the cold steel glinting under the dim glow of the flashlight. My heart was racing in my chest, every muscle in my body telling me to turn around, get back in the truck, and just drive. But I didn't. I stepped forward, one hand gripping the cold metal of the door handle, the other holding the flashlight like it might be some kind of protection. The knocking had stopped, but the air felt heavy, like it was thickening around me. With a deep breath, I yanked the door open. The smell hit me first, a strange mix of rot and earth. Not fresh soil, but the kind of earthy scent that comes from something that's been buried too long. It rolled out of the trailer, curling around me like a ghost. I stepped inside, shining the light across the crate, still bolted down, still sealed tight. But the moment my eyes locked onto it, I knew something was wrong. It wasn't the weight, it wasn't the fact that the straps had slackened. It was the fact that I felt it move. I know, it sounds insane, but I swear it. I felt it, like a shift, a vibration that ran through the trailer floor, up my spine and straight into my chest. Something was pushing, struggling, wanting out. I backed away slowly, my breath coming out in shallow bursts, until I hit the trailer door again. I was about to close it, lock it all back up and pretend nothing had happened, when I heard it, whispering. It was soft at first, like a breeze through the trees, so quiet I almost thought I imagined it. But then it was clearer, a voice, and it wasn't coming from the air. It was coming from inside the crate. "Let me out! Let me out!" I froze. There's no logical explanation, no easy way to wrap your head around it. But the voice was real. It wasn't my mind playing tricks on me. It was clear, desperate, and it was calling from inside the crate. "Who the hell's in there?" I found myself muttering out loud. No answer, just a shift, like something large moving, scraping against the walls. Then clearer, louder. "I'm not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to take me." I'm not proud of what happened next. I slammed the trailer door shut and locked it. My heart was beating so hard I could barely hear the sound of my own breath. I ran back to the cab and slammed the door behind me. I gripped the wheel, my knuckles white. It took everything I had not to just drive off, but something kept me there. Something deep in my gut telling me to move, to just get the hell out. I cranked the engine and pulled back onto the road, my foot pushing harder on the gas than I meant to. The wheels skidded for a second on the wet asphalt, but they found grip, and I shot down the road like I was being chased by something far worse than the rain. The truck was quiet again. The knocking had stopped, but the voice, that whisper, it was still in my head. "You don't know what you've done. You're bringing it back. It's coming for you." I couldn't shake it. That voice, the way it knew me, knew my name, my past, things I hadn't thought about in years. It was like the crate was inside my head, the weight of it, the pressure building, and I couldn't stop it. I couldn't ignore it anymore. But the worst part, the voice wasn't just in my head anymore. It was outside the truck. "Let me out." Louder, closer. I punched the radio, trying to drown it out. Music blared through the speakers, but it couldn't block the sound. I couldn't block it. And that's when the tapping came back. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. And then something else. A low, rumbling growl. Not from outside, number from inside the trailer. Something was alive in there. And it was hungry. I didn't look back, not even once. The road blurred in front of me, rain slashing against the windshield in thin ribbons. It was all just a smear of gray, everything turning into this thick, foggy haze. Every inch of me was tense, knuckles white against the steering wheel. I was driving through the storm, but it felt like I wasn't really in control. Like the road itself was pulling me somewhere I didn't want to go. The knocking, though, that was still there. It wasn't just in the back of the truck anymore. It was echoing inside my skull. Every tap seemed to drill deeper. Knock, knock, knock. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was in that crate was getting closer. Every mile I drove felt like a countdown. A countdown to what? I didn't know. I just knew it wasn't good. I tried to focus, tried to keep my mind on the road. But the growling, that sound, that low rumble from inside the trailer, it wouldn't stop. It was almost like it was coming from underneath the truck now, vibrating through the floorboards. The whole rig felt like it was shaking. I couldn't tell if it was just my nerves or something else. The voice came again. I almost didn't recognize it at first. It was different, almost familiar. Soft, like a whisper in the back of my mind, no longer desperate, no longer pleading. But this time it was angry. I warned you. It was so clear, so direct, as if it was right next to me, breathing the same air. I slammed my foot down on the gas. No, I wasn't doing this. I wasn't listening to it. I wasn't going insane. But the voice, it kept speaking, kept getting under my skin. You shouldn't have opened the door. You shouldn't have taken me. You're the one who called me back. You're the one who broke the seal. The words felt like they were wrapping around me. I tried to drown them out, to block them with the sound of the engine, with the rush of wind against the truck's sides, but it didn't work. It was in my head now. It was in me. I took a sharp turn down another road, and the headlights caught something. It looked like a figure. For just a split second, I thought it was a person standing in the middle of the road. But then, nothing. Just the empty night again. You'll regret it. The voice spoke again, and this time it was laced with something darker, something colder. A chill ran down my spine, and my breath caught in my throat. Who are you? I muttered, half to myself. There was no answer, just a long, drawn-out silence. Then, in the dark, I saw it again. A figure. This time it was clearer. A shadow just off to the side of the road. A tall shape standing like it was waiting for me. Its outline was all wrong, like it didn't belong in the world. The way it twisted, like the air around it was distorting, bending to its shape. And then the voice spoke again. It's here. It's coming for you. I didn't think. I acted. I swerved the wheel hard to the left, my tires screeching against the pavement as the truck lurched to one side. The road was slick from the rain, and the trailer behind me shifted. I heard a horrible scraping sound, like something tearing at the metal. My heart was pounding in my chest, my throat tight. The trailer, the crate. I slammed the wheel straight again, trying to keep control. The truck jerked back, righting itself, but that growl, that horrible rumbling sound, came back, louder this time. And then, knock. Once, twice, 3 times. But this time there was something else, something more. It wasn't just knocking anymore, it was scratching. Long, drawn-out, agonizing scratches, like claws dragging across wood, trying to tear its way out from inside the crate. Let me out. The voice was louder now. It wasn't a whisper anymore. It was screaming, screaming from inside the truck, inside my own head. You don't know what you've done. You don't know what's in here. You have to stop. You have to stop before it's too late. I didn't care about the road anymore. I didn't care about the rain. I didn't care about anything. I slammed my foot down, pushing the truck faster, ignoring the squeal of the tires against the slick road. I had to get away. Whatever that thing was, it was alive, and it was coming for me. But as I drove faster, the knocking got worse. Knock, louder, knock, knock, knock. The voice was still there, screaming at me, trying to tear through the fabric of my thoughts. Let me out. Let me out. It's awake. It's awake. I looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing. No one. Just the empty stretch of road behind me. But something was there. I knew it. I could feel it. The whole truck, everything, started to shake. The windows rattled. The trailer behind me felt like it was about to rip off its axles. The growling was louder now, not coming from the crate. No, it was coming from inside the truck. The engine was straining under the pressure, the whole vehicle whining like it was about to explode. "You shouldn't have done this." The voice was no longer just in my head. It was inside the cab. It was right next to me, like something breathing down my neck. A deep, sickening whisper that scraped across the inside of my skull. I couldn't take it. I couldn't breathe. I snapped. I grabbed the brake, pulled it, slammed it down to the floor. The truck screeched to a halt, the tires burning against the asphalt, throwing up a cloud of smoke behind me. I was jolted forward, slamming against the steering wheel. My head spun, the world tilted, and for a moment I thought I might pass out, but I couldn't stop. The trailer was still behind me, the crate was still back there, and the voice, it was screaming louder than ever, clawing through my thoughts. "You're too late. It's here. You opened the door." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The road was gone. There was nothing but me, the truck, and whatever was coming out of that crate. And then, it was silent. For one horrible, terrifying moment, the voice, the knocking, everything, it all stopped. I didn't know if I should be relieved or terrified. And then, the trailer door opened. Not from the outside, from the inside. It was too quiet. Too damn quiet. And that's what made it worse. One second I was sitting there, heart pounding in my chest, drenched in cold sweat, and the next, everything just stopped. The knocking, the growling, the voice that had been tearing at my soul. It all vanished, just like that. But I knew that wasn't a good sign. Because when something stops that suddenly, when everything goes silent, it means something worse is coming. And I wasn't ready for it. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly, my fingers started to ache. The truck had stopped in the middle of the road, and I couldn't bring myself to move. The engine idled, but the sound of it felt distant, almost muted. Everything felt wrong. The silence stretched out. Then the trailer door creaked. It wasn't a loud noise, but it was enough to snap me out of the trance I'd fallen into. My eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The reflection was empty, nothing but blackness behind me. But I knew what I'd heard. I tried to swallow, but my mouth was too dry. I looked back at the dashboard, staring at the blinking lights, the fuel gauge, the radio with its static. Everything was still. But the silence in my head, the one that had come after the screaming, it was worse than any noise. Then the door creaked again. Slow. A deliberate sound, like something moving inside. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't care what happened next. I had to know. I wasn't about to just sit there and wait for whatever was inside that crate to break free and finish whatever it had started. Without thinking, I threw open the truck door and stumbled out, the wet pavement cold against my boots. The air felt thick, like it was pressing down on me, suffocating me with every step I took. I didn't look at the road. I didn't look at anything but the back of the trailer, the door that was slowly creaking open. The door. It was still moving, just a crack wider with every second. "Stop," I muttered to myself, trying to find some semblance of control. "This isn't real. This is just in your head." But I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I reached the back of the truck, and the moment I laid my hand on the cold metal, a wave of dizziness hit me. Like my body was trying to warn me, but I was too deep into this mess to listen. My breath came out in shallow gasps, the tightness in my chest nearly suffocating. The crate was still in place, still strapped down, still sealed, but something had shifted. There was a deep, deep groan from inside the truck, like a slow, aching stretch, as if the crate was breathing. Something inside was trying to move. I couldn't stop myself. I pulled the latch. I didn't even pause to consider the consequences. I yanked the door open, and that's when I saw it. The crate was no longer the same. The wood had split. Tiny, jagged cracks ran along the edges like veins pumping blood. The metal bands that had once held it together were now bent, twisted out of shape, as if whatever was inside had been pushing against them. The whole thing was changing. I stepped closer, my heart hammering in my throat. The air was thick with the smell of rot, something worse than decay. The kind of smell that made your stomach churn and your head swim. Then I heard it, the same whisper, the same voice, but now it wasn't a whisper anymore. It was snarling. You don't understand. I froze. The voice came from inside the crate, no longer a distant sound in my head, no longer something I could dismiss as a figment of my imagination. It was real. It was right there. You broke the seal. You released it. You woke it up. The growling in the back of the truck grew louder, more frantic. I stepped back, heart racing, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the crate. I couldn't look away. And then I saw it. A hand. The fingers of someone, reached through the crack in the crate. Long, bony fingers, twisted in an unnatural way. The nails were yellowed and cracked, like they'd been buried for centuries. But the worst part, the fingers moved. They reached. They scraped against the wood as if trying to claw their way out. I stumbled backward, my breath caught in my chest. I was paralyzed, frozen in place by that sight. My mind screamed at me to run, to get in the truck and drive. But my body wouldn't move. Bang. The crate shuddered, a loud, violent impact from the inside. I saw the wood crack wider. The hand was pulling itself out now, no longer just a claw. It was pushing. Something was crawling. Something was awakening inside that box. The voice came again, but this time it wasn't pleading. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for all of you, and you can't stop me. I could feel it now. Whatever was inside that crate, it was alive. It wasn't some trapped, desperate thing anymore. It was hungry. I backed away slowly, feeling the weight of that presence pushing in on me. My feet couldn't move fast enough, and before I could stop myself, I turned. My hands shook on the wheel. I couldn't tell if it was the cold sweat soaking through my shirt or the pure adrenaline, but my whole body was trembling. The truck seemed to be running on fumes, the engine whining under the strain, but I didn't dare slow down. Not for a second. Behind me, something had broken free. That thing in the crate, the thing I'd been too stupid to stop, was now out there, and it was coming for me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even want to know. All I knew was that whatever it wasn't human. It was something older, something that had been hidden away and forgotten until I, stupid me, had opened the door to let it loose. I gripped the wheel tighter, my knuckles white, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to claw its way out of my chest. The headlights of the truck sliced through the rain, but the road ahead of me seemed endless, like I was driving through a tunnel that had no end, the blackness closing in around me. Thud. I heard it before I saw it. It was coming from the back of the truck. No, not from the trailer anymore. The sound was behind me, right there in the cab with me. Something heavy, dragging, like footsteps. Thud. Thud. Oh, God. I risked a glance in the rearview mirror, my breath caught in my throat. Nothing. But that didn't matter. It didn't matter that I couldn't see anything because I could feel it. The air in the cab had changed, thickened, as if something was pressing down on me, squeezing the life out of the space around me. I slammed my foot harder on the accelerator, but the growling, that low, menacing sound, was right there in the truck with me. It was louder now, deeper, like a living thing circling, stalking, waiting to pounce. The creature, it had found me, and it was hunting me. Thud, thud. The sound was getting closer. The truck was still speeding, but it didn't matter. The growling was coming from inside the vehicle now, reverberating through the metal, crawling up the back of my spine. My blood ran cold. You can't outrun me. The voice, the thing's voice, slithered into my mind like a snake, its words cold and sharp. It wasn't just in my head anymore. I could feel it, its presence. It was there, suffocating the air around me. I jerked the wheel, my hands slick with sweat, trying to shake the feeling that it was already right behind me, that it was already reaching for me. "You released me," the voice said again. But this time it wasn't a whisper. It was a growl, deep and guttural. "You'll pay for that. You'll run. You'll hide. But I will find you, and you will never escape." I glanced in the mirror again. Still nothing. But I knew it was right there. I couldn't outrun it. I couldn't hide. Whatever it was patient. It had been trapped for so long, and now it was free. Free to chase me, torment me, and tear me apart. I glanced down at the dashboard, trying to steady my mind, trying to focus on something, anything, other than the dread that was crawling under my skin. The gas gauge was nearly empty. The needle wavered, dangerously close to E. I wasn't going to make it. Not like this. Thud. The noise was louder now, closer. I could feel its presence like a cold weight pressing down on me. The growling stopped. The silence hit me like a punch to the gut. And that was worse, because when things went silent, that's when you knew you were about to be caught. I jerked the wheel again, narrowly missing a curve in the road. The truck fishtailed, but I kept my foot on the gas. I was driving blind now, eyes wide, heart hammering, but I didn't dare look back. Then the truck's headlights flashed over something. For just a second, I saw it. A figure, a tall shadow moving along the side of the road. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. Too much adrenaline, too much panic. But then it moved. It wasn't human. It couldn't be. It was too long, too wrong. The figure was impossibly tall, bent in unnatural ways, like it didn't quite fit into the world. It swayed with each step, moving in a way that no person ever could. Its limbs were too long, too thin, the fingers stretching, reaching, twisting in ways that made my stomach churn. And its face, there was no face. Just darkness, just an emptiness, like a hollow shell of a human form. And then, in the blink of an eye, it was gone, just vanished, like it had been swallowed up by the night. I blinked hard, trying to shake the image from my mind, but that's when the voice came again. Louder this time, echoing in my ears, inside my skull. "You can't escape me." I looked in the mirror. There, in the reflection. The thing was there. It wasn't in the distance anymore. It was right behind me. Its shape was a blur, a twisted shadow, but I could see its eyes. They glowed faintly, red, burning, alive. And they were locked onto me. Thud, thud. The footsteps, they were right there, outside the truck. It was chasing me. It was running faster than I could drive.